This is SanchoWest, and you're tuning in to another episode of CheckPoint Amigos, episode 2. Thank you guys for supporting my new podcast endeavor. And this episode is going to cover the Sony E3 conference, that epic conference that happened earlier in the week. And I just want to thank you guys personally for supporting me here and on SoundCloud. It's amazing that I see you guys are following me. Everything I do is just, it's great to know that I have backup. And a good thing is I have a special guest this time around. It's another CheckPoint Amigo, B Magic. That's right, the other half of the Blackskin brother is going to go ahead and help me out because he's a big Sony guy. And I need some backup to cover this huge conference. A lot of things to go over. We're going to have lightning round. We're going to have quick save. And we're going to have some news. And just a quick note about the episode. Every once in a while, I make a technical mistake. And it looks like I was not recording off this sexy mic. And I was recording off the internal mic on the MacBook Pro. So bear with the audio the whole way around. Thank you for being awesome. It's about underneath an hour. So sit back and relax and have a good time. And we'll be right back with some more action. Oh, yeah.
And we're back. Well, actually, I'm back, but I brought somebody along for the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Austin, Texas, it is, and I like to give a shout out to him right now in dedication because it is 2 a.m. his time. All the way, B Magic 01 in the house. Say what's up, everybody.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is going on?
Yes, it is the B Magic. The B Magic is in the house. My best buddy in crime, the other Bacon brother, the one half of Bacon brothers. That's right. That started this whole channel. If for those of you who've been with me from the beginning know, I was not always SanchoWest Gaming. I was Bacon Brothers Gaming. That's like about a year and some change ago. Ain't that right, B Magic?
Yeah, a year and about a quarter a nickel.
About that. Well, the reason why I'm bringing in B Magic because he is, I would consider, for lack of a better term, a PlayStation fanboy. Not in a negative sense, but you're a big fan of PlayStation.
Yes, I am a huge fan of PlayStation.
I would have to say that as soon as you turn on the PlayStation, that gives you that feeling. You know the sounds of the PlayStation 1. You know the exact same sound of the boot of a PlayStation 2.
If there was a competition and I was blindfolded, I would be able to pick out which one it was. Even for a Vita or a PSP or PSP Go. It's pretty sickening, actually.
And it is, and this is why we're here. Why are we here? We are here because I want to expand my channel and cover things. I'm going to be more news oriented, cover what's going on, and give you guys the opinions that I have about everything. And right now, we are in the midst of E3 is happening right now live in Los Angeles. Well, not right now, but we are in the midst of E3 week here in Los Angeles. And yesterday, or by the time this podcast comes out, a couple of days ago, was the Sony conference. And so this podcast, like I said in the intro, is going to cover all things Sony. We're going to give you all of our opinions and take them with a grain of salt. We're just here to entertain. Ain't that right, B Magic?
Yes, that's what we do. Comedy, good, honest gaming, above all, entertainment, baby.
All right, we got a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and get this started. First thing on the docket, first thing on the outline, it is the return of Little Big Planet 3. Little Big Planet, of course, is the upcoming game for the PlayStation 4, developed by a different studio than I think it was Molecule or something like that. It's by Sumo Digital, and it's Media Molecule, that's it. Sumo Digital is now the new guy. It's the third major entry in the Little Big Planet series, and it of course was announced. And it was it was interesting the way they announced Little Big Planet because the way Sony was doing their whole conference was like all of a sudden it didn't really have a transition from game to game like Microsoft or normal traditional. It was all of a sudden one trailer was ending or one video game was ending, the other was already starting. So Little Big Planet actually got a huge pop for its announcement. Just the name itself, everybody got really hyped for Little Big Planet.
Well, yeah, it was of course they got hyped because it's Little Big Planet for the next gen. You know, we've been used to Little Big Planet. Little Big Planet was one of the PlayStation 2's like staple games there for a while. I remember when we used to play it back in the crib.
Absolutely.
You know, and so that was how we got the ladies to actually like join us in playing. You know, we had to create their characters. Yeah, I'll take it. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back.
This is true. It was the ultimate way to get ladies. So, what do you like about Little Big Planet 3 that from what you saw from the conference from video?
From what I saw, I just like the incorporation of multiplayer, and then also that it's just a bigger game. Because at Little Big Planet 1 and 2 were already huge in the fact that, like, they already had certain levels created for you, and then you could create that user generated content. Now it just seems like they're just blowing these levels even bigger already, in which that you got to have at least multiple characters in order to get through these levels. And so that's what excited me, especially just these new staple characters, because everybody knows Little Big Planet, they always know Sackboy, but now you got all these three other characters. I can't remember their names. I have nicknames for them. I got Birdman, Biggie Small, and Sock Dog.
Nice. I like that. What was it? I think Toggle. Toggle's Biggie Small. What you're talking about, but I like your nick. They should hire you to give these guys nicknames, or because I don't Toggle, Odd Sock, and then Swoop. Swoop is probably the cool name though. I like Swoop or Birdman. Brr, brr. Hey man, come pick me up, man. Brr, I'm stuck.
Coming in.
Well, that's going to be interesting though. I mean, you are right. I don't think they were exaggerating. It was kind of crazy. I didn't really play Little Big Planet 2 because I kind of got the gist of it.
Yeah.
But I do know that the community went crazy and they were creating like first-person shooters. They were creating cart games. They were creating all these kinds of games. And I think what Sumo Digital did, or PlayStation in general, decided, all right, let's give these guys easier tools to create everything that they want. And they could change the camera perspective. They could be third person. They could be first person. They could create all these kinds of things. So the problem was always with these kind of games, it depends on the community. And I mean, that's what I agree with a lot of things that you liked about it, the different characters and whatnot, and it has a lot of mechanics on it. But it's when you get into the 3s, into the 4s and 5s of your game, sometimes the stuff that you were famous for, other games are already doing it. So that's my concern with it. Like with Little Big Planet, can people, it's a cute game and it's a great party game. And as you said, it's a great get the ladies inside the house. That sounds a little creepy. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, get the girls interested in video games and whatnot and make things a little fun. It's a good party game. But I think that's the biggest challenge for Little Big Planet 3. Like, is the gaming world ready to move on from that kind of stuff? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you got it. It's bringing back something that has already been established twice. And so it's now the question is, okay, we know what Little Big Planet is, but what is this third installment going to bring to the next generation? I understand it's bringing in the younger crowd who don't know anything about Little Big Planet, and so it's something. It's now, as the old man here, you got to start asking, what are you bringing to the next generation in your franchise? Because it is a franchise, like, without a doubt. Like, Little Big Planet makes money, and it's gonna make money, but it's also right now, with it being announced and like with the reception that it got, people are excited about it. But it's one of those things where when you get down to the nitty gritty, what are you bringing?
And that's a good way to move on for that one. So basically what we're doing is breaking down what we like, dislike, and what we're worried about. So me and B Magic and I have a big question mark. Is that it? We're going to go ahead and move on to the next big game. The big game, Destiny. Destiny had a nice... I know this is not only just a PlayStation exclusive, but it is on Xbox and PC as well. But I think PlayStation is really... The whole conference are like, well, did you know PlayStation has this over Xbox and you get more content with this and it'll play better on the PlayStation because it comes out first.
That's not always true, but I appreciate people bumping PlayStation like that.
Right. And what's cool is, Destiny, for those who don't know, those of you guys have been sitting underneath the rock forever, it's an action role-playing first-person shooter MMO type thing based on, it's an open world setting developed by Bungie, of course the same people that did Halo, and it's published by Activision. And it's pretty crazy because this is pretty much, as always, it's going to be. This is kind of hyped up to the point where it's like, look, this is going to be PlayStation's Halo for a bit, or this is the way you're going to get the taste of Halo on your PlayStation. because it's made by the same guys and it looks and feels like Halo from what I'm looking at in this conference, how I was seeing it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm kind
Okay.
of, it's not bored. I just wasn't impressed because I mean that's how I feel. I want to go ahead and get your thoughts on it. What did you like about Destiny at the conference?
Yeah, what I liked about it is that they introduced the story because beforehand, the things that they were showing us was the gameplay, the looting, and the customization, and that's basically it. Is just the looting and the customization, and like these big worlds that they've created that you get to explore with or without other with friends or whatnot. And at the conference was the story because people were like, and this is where I see that it differentiates from the comparisons to Halo and Borderlands and stuff, is that the story is completely different. I had this conversation with a friend earlier saying that the story reminds me of the Fifth Element because you have the traveler, which is the light, followed by the darkness. And so I see the traveler as like a planet version of Lilu. And then the darkness is, the darkness that's chasing her the whole time, that you're Corbin Dallas basically. And you got to defeat the darkness. And so it's one of those things where I was happy to see the story finally come into play and see where your characters are going to be, because all they've been showing is gameplay footage.
Well, yeah, but here's my biggest concern. I mean, I get all that. I like all that. Here's the question mark. Here's the challenge that I think Destiny has. They've been saying like it's not an MMO. It's a lot more. It's more like that. It's not a massive multiplayer online game. It's completely different. It's its own new genre. But I think in something like this, I mean, you have World of Warcraft, you have all those things. Can a new IP like Destiny, because I know its goal is to be its franchise. It wants to be a new franchise or a new platform, entirely new platform where they'll keep adding things onto it. That's the only thing I have a question for is can the people, because as we've been progressing as gamers in general, we are getting pulled in so many different directions that it's going to be hard to just focus on one game. And I may be being hypocritical. I mean, I know my YouTube channel is all Last of Us type of stuff. What I'm trying to say is I don't think Destiny, in a sense, can hold a gamer's intention like what I think it thinks it can. Maybe in the PC world they're used to that stuff, but I just think on a console level, because all this stuff like Last of Us and all the All-Stars and all the other kind of stuff is more of a pick up and play. I could play it and then I could put it down. But in terms of investing hours, I mean, that's the biggest question I would say, and that's probably the last thing I would probably want to say about Destiny is that can it sustain its world that it wants to build?
For me, going outside of the conference, seeing how they also just released the alpha beta for it that allows you to play some of the some single player missions and then also some multiplayer missions. I've been keeping my eye closely on it. I haven't been able to play it myself, but from what I've seen, the answer to your question is yes, it can. I think it'll be in running for Game of the Year, hands down.
We'll definitely see. I mean, I'm gonna get an alpha access, so I'll probably get it probably by the end of the month or in a week or so. The alpha access of Destiny, which is an exclusive to PlayStation 4. So I will let you know what I think about it, my friend. I will definitely. All right. On the next one, we will go ahead and take a look at the Order 1886. Now, look, man. This is my game. This is what I got the edge of my seat for. This is an action-adventure video game developed by Ready at Dawn and Sony Santa Monica Studios, and it is pretty damn. Now, this is what I think video games should be about. It's basically set in an alternate history of London where there's an old order of knights, and they pretty much have to keep the world safe from half-breed monsters with our lycans, which are like werewolves, in other words. And when I was everyone knows what this game is about. It's kind of has a steampunk feel to it. But when I was watching the conference, because this is about the conference, so when I was watching that video of the conference and how smooth and seamless, now I was watching it in a movie theater, so it was blown up like a big screen, and the graphics looked so beautiful on that big screen that I knew that it's gonna look so crisp and awesome on my small HD TV or whatever I have. But when I was watching this, I was like, I couldn't tell the difference between cinematic and in-game. And I know that there's like a slight pause when you know you're about to take over the controls of the character, but holy crap, when I was watching the Order 80, that's the first game that I'm really excited for, and and I like the feel of it, and it's so smooth and so silky. I just love the style. I mean, I love underworld movies and all that kind of stuff, and especially adding the steampunk feel to it. Or, I mean, I hate to bring up this movie, but the Wild Wild West technology that it has with all of its stuff. But that's what I really loved about it, just how smooth it looked and how the character. It felt like this was going to be a franchise cornerstone piece of the Sony, especially that Sony Santa Monica's behind it as well. But I mean, what did you like about the Order in a nutshell?
Almost every single thing you just said. That seamless cut from CGI in-game whatever to that reticle coming up and he's shooting that werewolf. I was like, this is ridiculous. And it's another game that, yeah, it's at the top of my list that I'm really excited about. And it's new IP, man. It's new. That's the main thing. It's new. It's something we haven't seen before, and they're taking the good stuff from different genres and mashing it together, which everybody loves. And so it was one of those things that in the end, when it was all said and done, I was like, let me know when I can pre-order.
Right. I mean, the one thing that's what we liked about it, and what the underlining part about it is all the cutscenes and all the time action sequences, the quick time events. All those things serve a purpose.
Yeah.
They're not just there just to be there. And I really felt like I was already connected with that guy, the struggle that these monsters, these Lycans, are really strong. And they are no joke to mess with. It's just, I remember hearing it from the developers, like, running is a good strategy against these things too. If you face one, and this is the first time we get to see how they're strong and they're actually smart. And they're not completely just stupid AI. So I'm assuming they're going to have great AI. But here's the thing that I'm worried about. If we're just watching from, and I'm being really nitpicky here. There's really nothing I could pull apart. I mean, we're speculating. I mean, come on. I wasn't there at E3. I wasn't able to play the demos. But here's my concern. Will it be too linear?
Right.
Like, I know it's going to be linear, but will it be to the point where, just like Resident Evil sometimes falls into, where you get to, there's really no way to fail, and if you fail, the story will still progress. It'd be interesting to see if you fail a certain quick time event, or if you don't do something correctly, it changes the story, or it just changes the way you get there. So that's my only fear of it, where it will fall into, and not saying that's not a bad thing, but since it's so unique in its IP, that I would want to see something differently in the way it handles story, because it's such a cool story. The setting's great.
Right.
And my fear is like, it's like a Resident Evil mentality where it goes from cutscene to cutscene and this, but not saying that's bad. If you had to ask me what I had to nitpick, I would say that. I mean, that's the only thing that's bad about it, but I agree. Day one pre-order. I mean, let me give you my $5 and put that down when it comes out in 2015. Now, here's something that's unique, that surprised me. No Man's Sky. I was sitting there when No Man's Sky came out, like, what is this game all about? No Man's Sky, for those of you who don't know, is a science fiction video game. Now, that's awesome already. Science fiction video game. It's not action science fiction or shooter science fiction. It's just straight up science fiction video game. And it's made by the publisher named Hello Games, and it's featured a procedural generated open world. So basically, for those of you out there that don't know about this game, and I think it's probably one of the biggest surprises, in my opinion, is the developer himself, and forgive me, I don't have your name, but the developer himself pretty much doesn't know what's out there. It's a generated universe, and not just like a small universe or a couple planets. It's a vast unexplored world, and what made me so happy, B-Match, when I was watching that game, I was like, it's a frontier that a gamer can explore and can discover, and then if I find a planet, it's going to say discovered by SanchoWest, and you're going to know I found this planet, and you're going to explore everything I found on it, because I was watching it and I was like, there's ice planets, there's desert planets, there's planets where the rain goes up and down, and there's human planets, and they were saying like, and you could tell in the tone of my voice that it's exciting that you find elements on different planets to build your ship, and your ship can have different powers to go further. And the thing is, there's no boundaries, there's no invisible wall. It's not a sandbox universe. It's completely endless, and you could like lose yourself in exploration. I mean, and that's what I really like. I mean, I don't know. You probably have the same things as I said about it, but what did you find that I haven't said yet that you liked about No Man's Sky?
What I liked about No Man's Sky was that it's not as a bigger scale, because what you're talking about is actually my worry for the game. But what I liked about it is the seamlessness of walking, discovering different life forms or whatever mineral, like, because it started out in a cave. It's like, what was like, I had no idea what was going on, and then you saw like the blocks and stuff, and I was like, is this like a different Tron game? What's going on? It was like Tron coming back? And then you walked out of the cave and there's all these animals running around, and like you're scanning them, and then you get to your ship. The ship looked like an X-wing, so I automatically thought, oh man, we got a new Star Wars game coming out. This is going to be crazy. But then it wasn't an X-wing, and then he starts flying, and then he leaves the planet, goes into outer space, has a dogfight, and then he goes to another planet. And that right there blew my mind, the ability to go literally where no man has gone before, and it's one of those things where you can, the seamlessness of it was, and I knowing that it's not done, and I don't even know if there's a playable version of it there at E3, but just knowing that it wasn't done and what they were showing was so seamless and attention grabbing. But on the opposite side, the fact that the director of the game doesn't know how big this game is, I find that to be a problem, because at what point, one, it's a sci-fi game. It's so, what's the story? What's the end goal? What's like, hey, what is the point of you starting on whatever planet you start on and finding these things, like, discovering all of this stuff.
And I think that's where you and I are different as gamers. You and I we game, like, we're gaming brothers. We're brothers, period, from a different mother.
Yeah.
But this is where we're different. I really don't need a good story like written by. I love creating my own story, and I think this is what to answer your question, like, what's it all about? I think the whole notion, and this is like what Interstellar hits the movie as well from Christopher Nolan. It's about exploring the unknown. In this video game, it's a safe way to explore the unknown in a virtual world. And I think you are right about being concerned, like, what if he is wrong? Maybe it gets to the point where we discover everything. But what if he's not wrong and it goes endlessly forever? And I think that enticing, and what statement that blew me away when he said, two players will start on the same planet.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Nobody. He said nobody will start in the same cave. Everybody starts in a cave, but no one's going to start on the same planet. He says it's impossible for two people to start on the same planet.
I think that right there is revolutionary. For me, that is amazing.
Exactly. You were telling me, he's like there's millions and millions of planets out there, and if you've been watching Cosmos on Fox with
Neil deGrasse Tyson,
yeah, when you're watching him, and he's saying that we're part of a multiverse, and inside that multiverse there's a solar system, and inside that solar system there's planets, and there's millions of multiverses out there. So, I mean, that's the one thing. But I do agree with you. Like, if the developer doesn't know where it goes, like, where can it go? Who knows? And that's a big question mark.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And don't get me wrong. I'm not like saying like, I need this game to have a story. I just need the game. I understand people play certain games to just play them. Like even Tetris has an end, you know. And so, but what he's saying is that this game has no ending.
That's a good point.
Like this game, you have a set beginning, but there is no ending. And so for me, I guess for me, that kind of scares me a little bit because people in this generation alone, in my generation alone, people don't play games for the long run. You know, games have a certain replay ability, but if a game doesn't have any replay factor and it just has play factor, that game's not going to get played that much because they're like it's like you said back with Destiny, you're not going to have that much time to explore the thousandth multiverse that's out there. And so, but at the same time, it's one of those things that how long do you think you can do that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that's the question it's gonna have to answer, and I'm thinking it could just end up being one of those games you're like, man, I need some time just to wind down and just forget about my day, and let me just explore some planets and walk around. I mean, it could be one of those games. I mean, well, we'll see. But I'm pretty excited that that is an outlet out there. So going from a game with no story to one of the games with one of the best damn stories out there, and probably in the best story of mankind of all time, Batman Arkham Knight. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
When I was watching Batman Arkham Knight, and you know, we all know what Batman is. Everybody knows where Batman comes from. We all seen it on the big screen. We've seen it on video games. We've seen it with all this kind of stuff. But we all know what Batman is. And of course, it's developed by Rocksteady. Thank God. Rocksteady has developed this one. And the original creators. And the good thing as well, Kevin Conroy returns from back. No disrespect to anybody who, you know, if you're not Kevin Conroy, you cannot be voicing Batman in any genre. Well, he's the only one. So
It's true.
Let's just break down. I mean, let's just talk about this conference right there with Batman, where we saw how vast Gotham is in comparison to all the other games, and of course the big highlight of Batman. And I don't know how much. There's nothing we could say good or bad about Batman, but that Bat Tank was awesome.
No, man, it's not a tank. That is the Batmobile. That was the Batmobile.
I know, but it went to Bat Tank mode.
It made me feel nostalgic for the Michael Keaton Batman. The car showed up where he wanted it to show up. It was driving around, and that was my other thing. I was like, this car is huge, driving on both lanes. It's got to hit something. And when it hit something, it went through it. And it was gorgeous. And I loved it. That doesn't mean I'm going to try to be smashing everything. But just to know that you can smash everything, it was awesome. And away from the conference, I saw a little interview with the game developer. And he was saying that the only thing that the Batmobile can't smash through are the buildings.
You think you can ride up it?
Ride up the building? I don't know, man. The buildings are kind of bizarre in that Tim Burton kind of way.
Here's the deal. We've been with this Batman engine for a long time. We know everything about it. We know the fight mechanics. I remember watching the developer interview where they said for the longest time we knew Batman. What was Batman? Batman, yada, yada, all the stuff. But another part with Batman that they could never capture in the video game was the Batmobile. And that they could never capture that feeling of it and that there was no engine that could support it. But now that the power... They've focused the whole game almost around the Batmobile in terms of getting around, and I'm assuming there's going to have a lot of missions focusing on the Batmobile. You're going to see the true power of the Batmobile. It's like the Tumbler, what that did for Batman Begins. But we all know what we like about it. Here's my worry.
Okay.
And it's not a bad thing, okay? I don't want anyone to freak out. I'm not trying to hate on Batman. I'm just worried. It's okay to be worried. A part of Batman is being Bruce Wayne too. You know, that's what part of Batman is, not only negotiating life as the superhero that he is or the Cape Crusader that he is, but also negotiating life as Bruce Wayne. And I feel like we never really get to see that part of Batman so much, or be Bruce Wayne. That was really cool I believe it was in Arkham City when you were Bruce Wayne for that split moment in the beginning. You know, it lets me know that this is a dude as well, not just He's not a superhero, man. He's just a guy with the cape and with a lot of money and a lot of time invested, and he believes in the message. He's a symbol. And that's what I was hoping that I would see, that, all this sandbox Batman game, you get to explore Batman, and that's cool and all, but I want to see Batman more in a vulnerable state. Like, I understand in Arkham City and Arkham and all those kinds of things, you get to see him struggling with his mind, his psyche as Batman with the bats and his family and all those kinds of things. That's cool and all, but you're still exploring all that as Batman. I'm just hopefully that this time around we get to see some more Bruce Wayne action, even though I may be like the 1% person in that world. I mean, what makes you worried about Arkham Knight?
When you got to play as Bruce Wayne in Arkham City, it was awesome because, he's crazy. He doesn't think and it's funny how you want to play as Bruce Wayne, and yet Bruce Wayne never thinks of himself as Bruce Wayne. It's really funny because even when he was Bruce Wayne, he was Batman. I mean, he broke the Penguin's hand with his freaking hands handcuffed behind him. He's a baller, and so having seen this interview with the game developer, I'm going to say you might get what you want because of what he was explaining about the Arkham Knight himself. And so I'm thinking that they might go somewhere with this that, Batman's got to dig deep and like, got to look into his, like, that intestinal fortitude to, like, really, like, be triumphant. But for me, Batman's finally back in the hands where it belongs. And the fact that Rocksteady,
I mean, that's the bottom line.
yeah, and the fact that Rocksteady's like, hey, don't even, Origins didn't happen. And I think this is actually one of the very few games that I don't have a worry about. And it's that thing that we were talking about with, like, Little Big Planet. I'd have to say, if I did have a worry, I just don't want the game, because I know how they do the open world stuff, and it's like, I just don't want them to block themselves off, because, like, with certain things, certain open world games, you can't do certain things until you have certain abilities and stuff like that. You're Batman. It's going to be really funny to hear me say this, and I know most of my friends are going to be like, what? I just want to be Batman, right off the bat, and just be like, I'm Batman. Straight up.
All right, now moving on to another interesting tale of finding out who the real character is on a more personal level. Naughty Dog ends the show with Uncharted 4, A Thief's End.
I don't care what anybody says. SanchoWest called this.
That's right. I told you.
Way before this even happened.
I was sitting in a theater and I tweeted, Naughty Dog's going to end the show. All this stuff is the calm before the storm, and that Naughty Dog is pretty much the Hulk Hogan of the PlayStation. Yeah. It's going to come out and his music's going to hit and everyone's going to cheer. And I'm telling you, when the Naughty Dog logo came out, everybody lost it in that theater because they knew it was going to be Uncharted 4. But I know there's really not much we can talk about because it was just a teaser. But looking at the graphics, and what's interesting is I was able to see 30 minutes more in terms of there was kind of like a special E3 exclusive being in that theater, and I heard more from it. And they were talking about the graphics about it. But the one thing I really want to hit before turning it over to you regarding Uncharted 4 was that they said this is going to be a more personal game. It's more grounded. It's about Nathan Drake, and it's not about really. Yes, it's about pirates. And he's looking for some sort of treasure, but it's about Nathan Drake wanting to do it one last time. And in the trailer, you're hearing this conversation between him and Sully, which is pretty much the foundation, I would say, of the relationship of Nate is the strongest relationship in that game. Is between Nathan Drake and Sully. Not really about Nathan Drake and his love interest, but it's between Nathan Drake and Sully, and they're having a conversation. And Nathan Drake says, look, dude, I really need you on this one. I need you for this one last time. And Sully's very hesitant, and he goes, all right, whatever, let's do this, kid. So, and you and I both know, I mean, we both study a film and all this kind of stuff. When the thief says, this is my last ride, something bad's going to happen to him, and he's going to go through a lot of stuff. Because it's always that last ride out is the hardest ride. I mean, we've seen it in Carlito's Way. He always wanted to go to paradise, but he had to do one more job, and he ends it. We've seen it in Heat.
Yep.
One last kill before, one last take before I go off in the distance, ends in a bad way. So Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, is going to be, I would say, a very, very strong, I mean, it's very general commentary. I would say it's a very strong entry, and knowing who Nathan Drake is. What I really liked about it, not all that stuff developing, but what I really liked about it in terms of graphic-wise, and this is what the developer says. He said they went down deep and they were able to get the flesh, the wrinkles on his face, the lighting on his face. They were able to do patterns of blood flow, what happens when you clench your eyes and that the blood moves. Like all of this kind of stuff that I never really thought about it. But looking at it, this is why I like Naughty Dog. Looking at it, you're like, I know there's a crap load of attention to detail in this that I would never understand, but I like what I'm seeing. And it looks so real. And I'm looking at it, I was like, damn, Drake, you look old, man. You look like you've been through a lot. And you have. Because all the other ones, like a happy-go-lucky, going through the motions, being a sly dog, being charming, being that Han Solo type of guy. But seeing Drake on the ground, wrinkled face, weathered face, looks like he's been through a lot. And just seeing him almost beat down and exhausted, but he's still moving. I felt this is where graphics could help you get really more connected with the character on an emotional standpoint, because you could see their pain. And before, in the old school days of video games, we just had a stoic face and a painted face, and you had no idea what they were thinking based only on their words or their voice animation. I mean, their voice acting.
Yeah.
But now looking at the graphics, that trailer said a whole lot of what's happening with Nathan Drake without saying really much anything, or without even knowing the story, you know?
You already know, Sancho. Us and Uncharted, that's we go back.
And we're not even talking about the multiplayer yet. I mean, that's just a single player.
No, it's just like, and I will go ahead and say I know for a fact Uncharted was a game that you actually played the single player on.
Yes.
And so, like that's ladies and gentlemen who are new to SanchoWest gaming channel. He rarely plays a single player game. The campaign mission. I'll say it like that. Uncharted is a game he played the campaign for, because Nathan Drake is that character. You know, he's the half-tucked hero, man. He's that everyman that, you know, he's the closest thing we can get to Indiana Jones with being actually a regular guy. I mean, Indiana Jones was a professor. You know, Nathan Drake, that dude, he's just a straight-up dude, man. They start the trailer off after the Naughty Dog thing came up saying that all of this was in-game footage. And that right there made me lose my mind. I do pay attention to the detail. I am that guy that's just like, how is the water falling off of their pants and stuff like that. And the fact that you could see that, you could see the dirt on his face, you can see the scrunchy wrinkles on his forehead, and like it was like, damn, Nate, you looking rough, man. It made me think, seeing him lay there, it made me think about all of the past adventures that he had been through in the other Uncharted games. And that it all came.
Except Golden Compass.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, in the end, I really don't have any worries in this game because it's just a teaser. The reason why I don't have a worry, and you may, you know, knowing what I do with my YouTube channel, you may say, oh, you're just a fan, whatever. I think Naughty Dog knows what it's doing. Even though all this, the turmoil with the layoffs and the people leaving, I mean, people move on in life. It's just, you can't stay at it. It's basically, they've been at the company forever and they're ready to tackle new challenges. But rest assured, the people of Naughty Dog, the whole company as a whole, knows how to do video games and they're very passionate. So I'm not worried at all. I am happy as a clam right now with Uncharted 4, and I'm pretty damn excited. Do you have any worries? I don't think you do.
This is another game I have no worries about whatsoever, because no other Uncharted game has been a problem. They've all, once again, been a step up. And the fact that this is now the end-all, be-all, maybe, it's like, you know, they're straight up saying it's time to go all in, and I'm scared. I'm really scared to see how awesome this game is actually gonna be.
Thank you guys for sticking with us so far. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a quick mini break, give you guys a little stretch, and what that means is I want to play some music, you hit the pause button, and then come back when you're done with your break. And we're gonna go ahead and finish it up with some lightning round and some news and wrap it up with the quick save questions. How does that sound, B Magic?
Sounds good to me, baby.
All right, and we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, B Magic. If you have any questions for the regarding this, or you like to submit to us at CheckPoint Amigos podcast, do hashtag AskAmigos here in the comments below, or of course you can tweet us at hashtag AskAmigos, and we will look at them up and we will answer them in the next podcast. In the next podcast, Dr. Bacon will come back and cover some Nintendo because he is the Nintendo guy between all of us Avengers that we like to call ourselves. He is the Nintendo guy, so be happy to bring in Dr. Bacon and see what he thinks about the Nintendo conference that just happened. I got a lot of opinions on that, but I'll just save those for now. All right, now it's time to go ahead and hit up the lightning round. Let's do this.
I am ready.
It is flashing. It is time. It's pretty much in this lightning round. We go through the rest of the announcements of the E3 games that were announced at Sony's conference, and we just give it a simple or hype. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start some little music right here. I don't even know what I'm going to put right now, but let's go ahead and put some music in. And here it is. Let's go ahead and put some music in. It is Rainbow Six Siege. Hype or meh?
Hype.
Hype. I mean, that hostage stuff, capture the flag, but with an actual person, sounds awesome to me.
Oh my gosh.
Assassin's Creed Unity.
Oh, you already know. I'm hyped about that.
I'm hyped, and here's why. A quick thing. How many people can you fit a screen? A lot, and that looks amazing.
Oh.
That looks amazing. And the only thing I'm worried about is I was watching it, and the only thing, I don't know, maybe it's a theater kid in me. I was like, man, this is Les Mis all over again.
Yeah. Hold up. Wait, where's Russell Crowe?
I was like, red. You know I'm not a musical major at all, man.
Neither was I, so I'm not gonna hate on you.
All right, both hype on that. Battlefield Hardline.
Dude, straight up, bad boys all the way, cops and robbers, hype.
Yeah, that's a big hype for me. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm happy that it's finally coming to the next generation. I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm a little like, hype.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like a hey type of, it's in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, Dead Island 2, which didn't really have gameplay, just a trailer.
The trailer was awesome. I'm going to give it a meh, but I'm pretty excited for it. I'm pretty excited to see that they finally have a official sequel for the game, but I'm going to give it a meh.
It's a meh for me too, for two reasons. We all remember the kick-ass trailer for the first Dead Island, so and it ended up being just a rinse. It ended up being a rinse and repeat, and I'm feeling like that's what's going to happen again today. And Dead Island, that half sequel, was just god-awful, and I got bored of it quickly.
Yeah.
All right, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
And I'm probably going to receive some hate for this, but I am a huge meh. I'm not a Metal Gear guy, so...
You know what? I'm in the same boat, too. I'm meh, and it's not because... It's because I'm already so far gone into what's happening in the story, I have no idea what's happening. That may be That may be an ignorant way of looking at it, but that's where I'm at with it.
And you know what? You know how I relate it? It's like Doctor Who. People say you should watch Doctor Who, but you know, that thing goes back so many seasons, but they always say, no, you got to start on this season and you'll be fine. It's still too much. Metal Gear, I just know it's got an amazing story, it's got amazing cutscenes, but it's not a game for me. So I got to give it a meh.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of you. The Last of Us Remastered Edition.
Dude, I am so hyped. I can't even. You already know how hyped I am for this one. So, like,
I don't have to give my answer to this one.
Yeah.
Far Cry 4.
Hype. Straight up foolishness. Hype.
What I'm hype about it, and this is only, I think it's what's kick-ass about the PlayStation version. It wasn't visually announced for the Xbox version, so I can only speak for the PlayStation version, is that you can play it if you don't have it with me, which is awesome.
Yep.
That's pretty damn cool. So that's a hype for me. Grim Fandango.
I'm going to go ahead and say hyped for this one because what they're doing with this is introducing people to some really good old school gaming.
Right. I would say a hype too.
No, that was, just hype. Tim Schafer's coming back, baby.
Hype. That's all I got to say about that. Entwined. It was the dual joystick one where they're flying between the dragon and the bird, the fish.
I know which one it was. I'm gonna say meh, but what I'm hyped about for it is that Sony gave them the time to present their game and that it was available that day. So hype to them for that, but meh, I'm not gonna play it.
Fair enough. That's a meh for me too. Not because it's just not my genre, and it doesn't really get me hype. It has to get me hype. All right, next one is, and I'm probably mispronouncing this, Abzu.
Abzu. I'm just gonna give that a meh. There needs no explanation. Just meh.
All right. Yeah, it's no disrespect to those things. I mean, they're all small indie things. I appreciate that they actually had time. That's pretty cool. That PlayStation. I agree with you on that. Next one, PlayStation Now.
Oh, PlayStation Now. You already know a little bit about my position with PlayStation Now, so I'm gonna say hype all the way hype all the way.
I would say hype too. Just the ability to actually have PlayStation and and what their goal is to have the whole old school PlayStation catalog available to you. PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. Dude, that's major hype. You can't go wrong with that.
But the fact that it's gonna be available on Vita, PS3, PS4, and Sony smart televisions, that's hype, dude. That is so hype.
Speaking of which, the new addition to the family, the PlayStation TV, which is $99.
I said Vita in a box, but it's not. It's more than that. But I'm hyped for it because you now can plug this into a different television and play your PlayStation 4 through it, and so I'm hyped.
That gets a big hype for me too, simply because I like the idea of playing in. Because right now, the way I have it set up, I have my PlayStation 4 in my man cave, far away from my bedroom. It'd be cool to have the PlayStation TV in my bedroom, so when the missus goes to sleep and I'm not ready to go to bed, but she wants me in bed with her, hanging right next to her, I could just pull out the PlayStation TV and play my single player games and just get that stuff over with, because I don't have time to play that stuff when I'm working on the multiplayer stuff. So I want to give that stuff a big hype. And if for those of you who are married out there, you don't understand that when your wife says she wants you next to you, and it's like, why I want to be next to you when you're going to be asleep? I just want to watch TV. I just want to play my video game. So that's a big hype for me. And yeah, I'm sorry I went on a little rant on there, but that's a big hype.
No. Okay, it's for those that don't understand, they don't need to understand. But there are people out there who understand where you're coming from, Sancho, and I am one of those people that understand, because that's one of the main reasons I'm hyped about it too.
Thank you. That wraps up this section of hype or meh, the lightning round.
Meh.
But now it's time for the news. Let's go ahead and talk about Mortal Kombat X. And it looks like Ed Boon said in a statement that they're going to be running at 1080p and 60 frames per second, which brings me up to my point. Now, this is why I bring up news headlines, because this is what this most likely would be another whole other topic that I would love to have you on regarding fighting games in the next gen world. But Mortal Kombat X is talking about fighting on 1080p and 60 frames. What, in a brief, if you had to put it in a really small nutshell in terms of a teaser for a future podcast, where is next gen fighting games going? In a quick, small nutshell, B-Magic, what do you have to say?
I am fully behind, and I also saw a live interview with Ed Boon saying he was just like, yeah, without a doubt, 1080p, 60 frames per second. And I think for fighting games, it's easier to do that because they know the construct of what they're working in. Whereas with other games like action adventure games, you got to worry about frame rate and like cutscenes and all this stuff. Like Mortal Kombat can do that. Like you look at a Mortal Kombat cutscene, their cutscenes are in game. Like what you see in the cutscene is what you're gonna play. Like they did that in Mortal Kombat 9. The story and the fights were seamless. Like, they had there was some smoothness in the drop, so you can know that, hey, yeah, I'm about to fight, but also at the same time, it was identical. And so I'm excited I'll say this, I'm excited to see where the new fighting games will go. I'm excited to see what new fighting games will come out for the PlayStation 4, because you've heard me harp about this so many times. I want my fighting games on the next generation. And I'm happy that Mortal Kombat will be, I do believe, the first official fighting game of the next generation on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, we'll see. And like again, that'll be a whole other podcast that we'll break down. I just wanted to give you guys another taste of what's going to happen on CheckPoint Amigos. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the last installment of the podcast. And again, thank you guys for spending about an hour of your time with us. We both appreciate it, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this up quickly with the quick save questions where we end every CheckPoint Amigos podcast. B-Magic, what game is currently in your PlayStation right now?
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs. Nice. What's your thoughts on that real quick? Thoughts
on Watch Dogs? I love it. Has a good story, so you can play the story mode, but also at the same time, it has enough time kill factor that you can go do so many other things and still enjoy it without getting bored, because there are so many other things you can do. And so I'm a big fan of Watch Dogs. But what's in your system right now?
Last of Us. that's always in my system from here to the end of the time. What movie are you excited for that's coming up?
I'm gonna have to say Hercules, because that's my birthday movie. It comes out the day before my birthday, and it's The Rock, who's a huge inspiration to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Hercules.
And for the last question, if there wasn't any kind of deadlines or any kind of, in terms of release dates, and all the games that were announced in Sony's conference was available right now, you could go to GameStop, you could pick it up. What game would that be?
All of them.
And you only could pick one.
Oh.
You only could pick one.
And that's the thing. Like I say all of them, but I wouldn't even play all of them. I'd probably like sell the ones that I don't want to play. I'm gonna say this game, but it's actually gonna it'll have to come with something. Mortal Kombat X with a joystick.
You are a fighter at heart, my friend.
I am. Which one would you be getting if it was available right now?
If it was okay, a PlayStation announcement. God. Good thing they don't have all these things coming out at once. But 2015, I'm gonna be broke.
Yeah.
2015 is I might as well be broke. Looking at all these things, I would say. I mean, you know what? Because I know what Uncharted 4 is all about. And you have to tell me excluding multiplayer. Because if it was multiplayer, I'll play Uncharted 4. But if there was no multiplayer available, I would definitely put in the Order 1886. That would be the first thing. That would be the first thing I play, the Order 1886, because it's a single player and it's a unique story, and I love that kind of cinematic feel to it that it has, and it's so unique. I mean,
here's the side question. Do you think they're gonna bring in multiplayer for Order 1886?
You know what? I thought about it, and I kept looking for answers, and it says single player, which I don't mind. But I mean, not every player needs a multiplayer. But if you take the risk that The Last of Us did, you could get something great. So I want to see if the Order 1886. I mean, I'm not gonna be bummed out if it doesn't have it, but we'll never know. We'll never know. You never know. All right, that's going to wrap up this podcast here of CheckPoint Amigos. Wow, you really picked Mortal Kombat. All right, man. Hey, that's what you...
Yeah, man.
Hey, you want to fight? You want to fight.
Plain and simple. I was praying for one.
You woke up this morning praying for a fight.
I woke up this morning praying for a
You're not really concerned that you might get...
Challenge. The challenge is out there, folks. The challenge is out there. B-Magic01. When Mortal Kombat X comes out, come find me. If you whoop me, you whoop me. If I whoop you, told you.
Wow. You know what? I admire you, because didn't you get burned by Injustice on the PlayStation 4?
Oh, man. I got burned so bad. Yeah, that really expensive joystick you got that lights up, yeah, you're not going to be able to bring it over here either. Oh, and we're not going to have any joysticks for the PS4, so playing Injustice is pretty pointless unless you're a pad player, which I'm not. So, awesome. Thank you.
Well, that wraps it up, guys, and thank you again. If you like what you see, you can download it on SoundCloud as well. The link's down below, and you could always share with your friends and hit the like button, subscribe. Comment below, let us know what you think, and we'll comment back to you. But thank you for joining along with this Thank you for joining along for this whole hour. This is SanchoWest signing out for B Magic. Anything you got to say before we go?
Everybody keep fighting, keep playing, and keep on keeping on.
Are you quoting Joe Dirt?
No, if I was, I didn't mean to.
I think you did.
Just keep fighting. That's all I say. Just keep fighting.
All right, guys, and as always, I'll see you guys next time. Oh, yeah, peace.